So, Meatball Molly McCann, the one subject from UFC London that I'm making into a long-form video. And look, she's not above criticism. There's a lot of things to go through. And, when I read a comment section about her online, more often than not, it's mostly negative. And I get it. That is the UFC fan base. They will, metaphorically tear you to shreds in the comments section. And they turn very fast. And you know what? Molly was one of the people who had a lot of hype behind her. And it seemed like she had a bright future in the UFC while she was fighting the non-ranks. Then she gets up there, hits adversity in 2 weight classes, and it turns out she's just not as good as she thought. It happens. It's quite an often story. But I think with all that trash talk, people were waiting for the fall so they can throw stones on the way down, metaphorically speaking, again. But just so they could laugh and say, ha, ha, ha. But I'm going to be a contrarian. And although I understand why people have such a sour attitude towards Molly McCann, for me, if you've ever trained any sort of martial art, you at least have some respect for the fighters that make it to that echelon because it's not easy. One of the guys that used to teach me basic striking was on the Contender Series, and while he was getting together a bunch of wins in the lower, leagues, I thought nothing was going to stop him, and then he gets on the Contender Series and gets knocked out really bad. I'm keeping names out of it, but it just kind of showed me how deep the rabbit hole goes. So even if you're a non-ranked in the UFC, you're still pretty good. You only wonder how good the top 15 in the world are. So it's hard for me to turn around and point fingers and cast judgment and be like, I know I'm kind of like the more tame UFC commentator where most of these UFC commentary channels just roll over and say the most blunt stuff, almost like they have any right to talk. Look, if you're in the UFC or you fight in the UFC, that you can't take anything from that. That's an accomplishment, and a lot of people still forget that. I think a lot of people like to point at people who are successful in certain realms, then wait for them to take a loss so they can point. I actually believe that it's the people who don't try in life who want to point the finger and, judge because they're not doing anything with their life. I mean, there really is a reality to that. I'm going to be real. Sorry if you're, actually, if you're offended by that, I'm not sorry, because if you're offended by it, that I probably just described you. However, she did take it like a class act. I know she was cocky on her come up. And you know what? I would be too. If you had all that hype behind you and then Aaron Blanchfield humbles her out, and then that's when the wheels start to come off. She won a few on the way out, but ultimately failed, Okay. But she did say, hey, my performance was bad. I got nothing to hide. And she has other stakes. She's got a bakery now making cannolis, which honestly, I'd really want a cannoli right now. But it just kind of shows you that, there's redeemable qualities in everybody. And although I understand, again, Meatball Molly's not perfect. She has not been the most class act all the time. She hasn't shown a lot of respect for the fighters themselves. I guess she's trash talking, selling the publicity. Sometimes the political tirades could get a little, cringe. I think, honestly, no matter what side of the political aisle, I don't like to mix that in, right? It's about a sport for me. But you got to say thank you to Molly McCann for being a class act on the way out. And, it's kind of like, yeah, she took it as well as she gave it out. And that, to me, too, is another thing where it's like it really kind of shows her character. So, yeah, you know what? Her career, I probably give like a 6 out of 10, As far as making it to the UFC, she succeeded. But, yeah, no, she did fall short when it came to punching up towards the world champions. However, I still have right now nothing but high praises on the way out to say. And she said on social media she's going to make her retirement post in the future. So I'm looking forward to honestly seeing that. But hey, Meatball Molly, if you ever watch this on the off chance, thank you for the years of entertainment, because I know a lot of people had mixed feelings, right? I know I could go to Facebook comment section and those are flooded with just trash talkers, but you did more than the trash talkers did, and you talked some trash while getting it done. And you know what? Hey, there can only be one world champion, right? In each division, or two divisions in that matter. So, you know what? I have to be on her side this time when it comes to the retirement. But that's what I got to say. Peace out. Cheers. Respect. And best of luck to whatever Molly McCann does with the opportunities that have now been opened up because of her UFC career. And whatever you do, look forward to seeing you smile in the future. Peace.